Hello. I think I'm gonna jump right into this here. I am a few minutes late. Just trying to get a new setup so that this will work better. If you saw the version number 1 of this paint, it's the tiger. This is episode 2, and we're gonna throw down the base of the tiger. Nothing too intricate today, just something real simple, real fast. Instead of hiding the tiger's ear this time, we're actually gonna do both sides of this tiger and just put down the foundation. Tomorrow will be the full in-depth version of the details of the tiger. Today is just laying it down, how it's going to be sitting on canvas. And the next day after that, we're going to do the foundation of the crown for anybody who wants to do the crown. And the day after that, it will be finishing the crown. So a lot of options here, a lot of different directions we can go. The colors I'm mainly going to stick with today are white, maybe a little bit of black, but red and yellow. And optional, if you want to add brown to your palette, you can, but it's not necessary. And my palette is quite dirty because I've been using it for various paintings, so I'll kind of show it here, but mainly just yellow, red, white, a little bit of black. Brown's optional, and that'll be good. Let me add some more black to my palette here. Give some time for anybody else who wants to jump on and see this. After this video, I'm going to be showing another painting as well, and it's going to be this piece right here. Let's see how that shows on. Yep, shows on camera. Pretty simple, and if anybody wants to do that with me, this will be later on today after this video. I wanted to leave some options for anybody who didn't want to do the tiger 5 days in a row. Wanted to have some other things available as well for whoever else would like to try something else. I thought maybe a basic scenery would be a good idea. Something that's not too much thinking. It's just it's a nice hang on the wall. Definitely speaks for itself, and some simple techniques that I could show. So if you're up for that later today, I'll be showing that. Paint along with me. It's a lot of fun. Real basic details. And then Thursday, after that tiger video, we'll be doing this frog. He looks like he's complicated, but he also has a lot of really simple techniques that are just layered on top of each other. So excited about that one as well. It's real open-ended, and I've said a couple times about it so far that it has some techniques that it's a flip around from some of my other videos, and it's a good piece to hang on an opposite wall from the other videos, other paintings. It's got a vivid frog and then a not so heavy background. Sometimes you gotta flip it around for your room based on the room and the wall and everything. So I'll show you how to do that with this frog Thursday after the tiger video. So super excited about that one, and if anybody has any other recommendations, please let me know. I try my best to pull the content I think people might like, but I'm not always on it. So if anybody has content that you've not seen that you'd like me to do, please tell me, and I'd love to give it a try and do a video on one of those. So let's get right into this tiger here. Just the foundation, the base of the tiger. I'm going to use a smaller brush this time. I'll show you the difference here. As opposed to the large brush we used yesterday, I'm going to go down to this brush here. I do that so that I can leave myself space in between all of the detail that's going to be happening. Even though we're not really focusing on detail today, it's still going to be good for leaving it so we're not overdoing any of this tiger. So I'm going to start with the white on this brush, and I'm going to sketch out the direction, the different aspects of the tiger real fast. And I'm not really going to start right up on the top here. I'm going to start probably around right here. Just putting down a line. Don't really care if it's thick or thin or anything like that. Anything in here is going to be covered. Anything out here, not so much. But we are going to wisp some of these out like normal with fur. If you watch any of my other videos with fur, just wisp it out. Don't have to necessarily focus on this right now, but I'm just giving you the general idea we're going to be going with later on. Because tigers are very furry, very soft. I've never pet one, but I would imagine. So we're going to lay down this part of the head real fast. Kind of comes to a crook there. Spread this out. Continue it downward. This by no means is going to look like a tiger at first. It's going to look like a big splotch on the canvas that we just made a mess. And that's good. Same thing on the other side. Just going to bring down these lines. So before we go into the face, I'm going to put down where I see the back of the tiger is going to start, which is actually going to be pretty high up here. It's going to trail off the canvas there. We're going to now continue this fur that's happening down here to about right there. It's just going to start to come inward because the mouth is going to be in this area here. And it stretches pretty wide. It's pretty far over there, but not worried about that just yet. So we've got kind of the chin coming down here, right there. And I'm going to start laying down the chest slash right arm of the tiger. It's going to just real vague lines. I really don't overdo anything here, but I want the arm to be trailing off the canvas right about here. And I'll probably make adjustments to that later on. But for now, that's just where it is. All this is going to be filled in, but not yet. So, remember how I always say lines are very important. The direction of your brush is very important, which way you set down a line. If you put one this way, going that way, and then you put another going through it, taking the other way, the last line you put through is going to show forward the most. So I'm going to take that back the other way. It's as simple as that. Just take it back the other way. That's fine. But that being said, there's a line right here for the chest that I want to show that there's a difference happening. I'm going to fill that area in going that direction, because later on I'm going to need to see this in order to make it accurate to the painting. Stretch that out a little bit. So now I'm filling in this arm right here. You see how this direction takes over everything that's there, and you can now see the direction of that bottom paw right here as compared to the chest area. So direction is everything. Always pay attention to what direction you're taking your brush, because it will factor into the final result. Alright, so I'm actually going to have the mouth a little bit higher here. This is why we do a base coat. Maybe the chin is going to be about that low. I'm going to add that to the chest a little bit there. Direction again, I'm taking that direction with the chest as opposed to this direction with the chin. Alright, so we're going to continue this side over here real fast. We're just going to bring it in. We can always add later if need be, but for now, it's about as far as I want it. So I'm going to think about the left side of the tiger. Since he's facing us, it's going to be the opposite side. So this over here is the right, this is the left compared according to the tiger. But if you're, understanding differently, if you're, going by you're facing this painting, that's the left side, that's the right side. But I'm going by the way the tiger's facing, so this would be the tiger's right side, or now I'm confusing myself. Yes, left side over here. I'm going to throw this arm. Again, there's another direction change. This is kind of the shoulder before the arm. It's going to come down and just trail off the canvas. All these things are adjustable, so I'm by no means thinking that any of these lines are final. All of this is adjustable at any point in time. So I'm just going along as I did the first time, throwing in this base coat. It's going to look like a big splotch, and that's exactly what you want. Big splotch is where it's almost like we did some base idea with some clay, and then we're going to take it later and mold it into exactly where it needs to be with all the details and all the adjustments and everything that happens afterward. Right now we're just putting down something that is going to help guide us through the entire process. So this here is still part of the almost like shoulder chest area. So I'm making this line over here for the rest of the paw and the arm that's happening. But this direction is going to change again. It's going to be different from here. But it's going to go along with it, if that makes sense. It's a little nitty gritty there, but we'll make sense of that later on. I will not leave you hanging. So all here is going to be filled up, probably not with just white, which we'll come to that later. For now, let's continue to focus over here on this tiger's right hand side, left hand side, my bad, confused again. So again, this is actually it's gonna go along with what was happening with the chest. However, it's also gonna take a slant here. So slanting a different direction just to make sure I know, and also because it does. And we'll fill all this in as well later on. Not really worried about it just a second. Let's put the back of the tiger here. I don't know if anybody noticed this before, but kind of that thigh is right over here for the tiger. Maybe it's a little longer, but it's way back there. It's in the distance. It's a big tiger taking up a little canvas comparatively to its own size. And maybe we'll fill that in a little bit. Let's head up here to the ear. I actually, when I did the ear the first time, I just did right in the black. Don't feel like you have to do it this way. If you're not comfortable with this size brush and the black, then get a smaller brush and keep doing your base coat with the white. But I just took, and it's a really interesting shape up here. So it starts out with a circle coming around, kind of a half circle. Fill that in. If you're doing this with the base coat, that's fine too. Like I said, with white, I think it helps because I have to put 2 coats of this on the tiger anyway at some point. So starts off as a circle, comes around, filling it in as I'm coming around, and this side's going to come up to a little bit of a rounded point. The other side is going to continue inward a little bit, and then it's going to just kind of curve around to meet it. It looks like an upside down comma, almost. Like a comma as opposed to a period in a sentence. Fill that in. Not worried about the white fur that's on it just yet. And it's okay if you have a little bit furry. Again, the ear is furry on a tiger, so if you want to make it slightly furry, that's fine. And for my people that are doing just the tiger with no crown, I'm going to do this next step for you. So we're going to show that the ear is also over here. And it's the same thing, it's just the other direction. So we're going to do that circle again. This time the other side is going to lead up to that rounded point. And the top is going to curve in and then meet it. Fill that in. There's a little bit of weight on your brush, that's fine. Going to add some dimension to the ear of the tiger and everything. Now I'm going to rinse my brush. Not going to use black much after that, I don't believe. Not yet. Not for a little bit. Let's head back to our white. We're going to start filling in some areas with the face. So this does a lot with expression. Sometimes it takes a lot of practice to get expression down. I don't have all expression down when it comes to painting or drawing or anything like that. Still working on it. But with this tiger, it's good practice. So when you scrunch up your face, certain areas, well, maybe not people so much, but the tiger's scrunching up the face to make this real angry roar kind of look, or maybe it looks like it's yawning, or it's displacing all the features on its face due to crinkling it up and bringing the mouth open wide. So we want to take note of that. That being the case, the eyebrow area, the area around that whole system there is going to be raised a little bit more. I'm going to bring it higher on the head, and I'm actually going to bring it inward. I'm going to think of it being kind of more in and scrunched in, and it's not comfortable. It's using all these muscles to make this expression happen on the face, around the eye. So it's not going to be like normal where you're just adding that white area of the fur on the face over the eye where it's just extended and everything's pronounced. So you're really going to scrunch it up just like it is. So you want to think scrunched up, and you'll be able to tell. If you're painting this, you're going to be able to tell the difference as you're putting in all these features. Does that look like the expression is really there, or does it look like it's just, is that what I'm trying to convey? Is that not? You're going to be able to tell something's going to be kind of off. So always pay attention to that. Pay attention to your expressions, what you're trying to convey. Same thing's going to happen on the other side. It's going to be really scrunched. If you have to make a face while you're doing it, like a scrunched face to fill it out, and that's fine. Do it. That's a part of art. It's filling it out and understanding what you need to do in order to achieve what you're trying to convey, what you're trying to paint. So both sides, I really scrunched it up. It's really angry, or it's yawning, however you view this, I don't know. But there's a lot going on in the face just because of this one thing that's happening. So that being the case, it's going to be a real short strip in here of the orange of the tiger happening, and it's going to come downward and outward. Thankfully we're doing a base coat, so we can adjust whatever needs adjusted while we're doing this. And I will tell you, I adjusted things 50 times even after the base coat when I was doing the colors. So don't be alarmed if things are not what they should be just yet. Just try your best to make sure you get at least a little sliver of this expression that's happening in the face. So it comes in and it goes up a little bit. Really, the area in the nose around here is what, and then some wrinkles around these areas here are what really make this facial expression happen. But lifting the areas that are lifted is really important as well. So let's see, it's going to have a large mouth coming down here. Maybe it's longer than I thought it would be, because the mouth is open. They have large mouths. And this is going to be real close over here as well, doing pretty much the same idea. The nose is going to be right in here. Not super worried about that at the moment. Just going to kind of place some lines there real fast. Got a little bit of blue in there. That's okay. Blue's not bad. If you like a little bit of color to the white, blue's not bad to go with. I went with more pinks and yellows on the original example, but you can do some blues if you like. It doesn't hurt anything. Actually goes along with the red pretty well with the background. I'm gonna carry this mouth. It's a little further than you would imagine it to be. To be perfectly honest, it's like their mouths are very wide. They stretch all the way out here. Very, very, very wide. So if you're wide, that's good. It's going to go up there a little bit, and it's going to follow this direction. You can wisp out fur if you want to wisp it out, or you can stay just liney if you want to stay with lines. It's up to you. Probably going to have to add more white to my canvas here, but yeah, so we're just going to continue that out with the wispy lines off to the side here. There's a lot of layers happening on this tiger later on, so we're going to fill that in a little bit now. If it feels weird and looks weird, you're on the right path to starting this tiger. Alright. So we're going to dip into the black paint a little bit here now and set some things in place. First place being the mouth. Where I have this corner happening is exactly where I'm going to start. So the corner is coming down. It's going to come around the chin. Around the chin. Same thing up in this corner, where this corner is happening. Bring it down. Leave a little sliver of white right there. It's going to meet the chin. And all this can be filled in. It's going to get really dark in here as well. This is actually a portion of the, I don't want to say snout, but like the mouth area. Kind of on the lip up here. And we're going to show later that, not in this video, but in the detail video of the tiger tomorrow, we're going to show the separation between the mouth on the outside and the inside of the mouth. Alright, so fill this in, fill this in. Find it easier to fill everything in here and now, as opposed to everything that I ended up doing without having done this now. It was a bit of a process, so I found myself still going back to black a lot in here, so just filling it in with black is not a bad thing to do. But if you'd rather just fill that in with white and just have the corners of the mouth with the black and maybe the top of the lip here with the black, you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and just fill this all in. Bring this a little bit up here. Alright. So we're getting real super gloppy with this tiger. It's just a big glop on the canvas for today. Just the foundational steps of this guy. Or this lady lion or tiger, whichever you are doing. Some people name their paintings. Maybe you'll find a name if you're doing this for your tiger. Just a little bit more over on this side. That can stay real blotchy and furry too if you like. But if you want to start laying down some colors here, this is a good kind of point to do so. We're going to start with the yellow and the red, as I was saying in the beginning of this video. And a lot of white, because we're still base coating this. But it'll help us now as opposed to later when we're trying to get these vivid colors to really show up. So I like to make just a real bright kind of golden orange with a lot of yellow, some white, some red. Doesn't have to be a lot of red, just a little bit. Something real kind of golden tone. I have a lot of different colors on this brush right now, but that's okay. So it looks pretty much like so. And I'm going to start looking at the areas that are colored. One of those areas happens to be the fur up here. So it's not going to look pretty at all, but I'm going to wisp out all the fur that I see happening. You're going to see through this paint a lot. It's going to look just absolutely terrible, messy, no good, but that is the point of this base coat, because we know after the base comes all of the beautiful detail work. I switch up colors all through this painting, not gonna lie. I don't ever end up probably with the same exact orange that I mixed the first time. I don't really want to, because in the area that this tiger might be in, it's very likely that there is a lot of shading and shadows and just details getting lost in the mix, so I'm not really worried about that too much. I think it also helps a lot with kind of trying to hit more of a realistic approach with the tiger. Because sometimes their fur is, it's going through a lot of different phases, so different colors of the fur happening. And all exactly the same fur colors. Direction also is pretty key here. So, the snout is raising around this area, so we're actually going to go that direction with it. Direction, direction, direction. Practice your direction. See what happens when you take a direction with your brush that's different from the other directions. See what happens when you take another direction over top of that. And really get a feel for your process with painting this way. This is going to be a big swoop right here because it is a big swoop happening. There's a big vein that's just showing, it's making it look angry or like it's really going for that yawn, really getting it. If you get some black in any of these areas, that's alright. We're going to use it another time for a lot of the shading that happens, a lot of the darker areas. It shows the depth of things. Now we're going to come down around here. A lot of these areas stay pretty light, so I don't really want to focus on those areas with this color since it's not going to be happening there. But the areas that it is, like I said, I wasn't going to leave you hanging here. This right here is not the chest. The chest is all the way out here, but this is part of it happening with this line here, coming up and around. Again, I switch up my color all the time. I never really add the same color, the same mix. That's okay. As long as you're still mixing the same ideas, same colors, that's fine. One of my favorite areas of this tiger actually is this whole area right here, especially with showing the back body going toward the back and getting darker. That really sticks out to me with this tiger and kind of not having it so flat just on a canvas. So without that, I feel like it would just be a really flat painting. It would just be lacking somewhere. So I love this whole area, what we're going to do with it, how I'm going to show you to add that depth. Even in here, this arm's ahead of this body, and this body's ahead of this part of the body, and this head is probably in line with maybe part of the arm here, but then the paw is ahead of that. So there's a lot of depth that can still happen even when you're doing a large scale subject on your canvas, and you always want to think about those aspects. What can I bring forward? What can I push backward? What can I do to make sure that this isn't going to be flat on the very final outcome of the entire painting? A lot of it has to do with the dark and the light, because as you can see on the example, darker, like I was saying earlier, over in that section, as opposed to the shoulder area where it gets lighter. It's very important to understand some of those things, and we're going to go over all that. So for now, I'm going to come over here to this shoulder, bring it down, I don't necessarily follow my base to a T. You know, I like how it kind of has a drop over there. So I bring out and I drop this shoulder down to this kind of arm. Fill all this in. If you already want to start going kind of dark in some areas, you can go with a darker color over here, behind this paw. I wouldn't necessarily say to go black just yet. I added that, as dark as it got over there, I added that very scarcely, just to make sure I wasn't overdoing it. You don't really want to overdo dark shades of color. You want to take them down gradually. But we got this shoulder arm area getting done. This is more of the chest kind of coming up here. And if you like how light it got in there, add some white in here. Alright, so at this point, if you want to add just a pinch of black, just a pinch, to maybe a little corner of the color that you created, we can throw that on this back part of the body, just for our understanding of where things are. So we're making a big mess on this canvas and we're making it work. And we're good with this because this is exactly the direction we're trying to go with the foundation of the tiger. Alright. So let's say we're going to go with a small base for the tongue here, just to show where there's areas happening. We're going to leave a thin line here that happens, but basically about this far is how wide the tongue is going to be. Just going to do a real faint base right there. It doesn't have to be anything thick. It's just going to be a little different from the rest. A little bit out this way. It's going to be the inside of the mouth happening. Not doing much more than that there. If you want to do some more of the nose up here, feel free to mix maybe a little bit of a pink, just to differentiate from everything else that's happening, and we're just going to kind of throw that where it's going to be. It's going to be right here. Nothing specific. It almost looks like a large version of a really simple bird that you put in a sunset sky, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like it's got that M shape to it. And it's there. Alright, we're happy with that. And the last thing is I'm going to go to the top of it and just kind of bring in a swoop, because it does follow that vein that ends up happening tomorrow. And don't worry, if you've done all this side over here as well, and you want to do the crown, that's no problem. We're just going to put the crown right over that in the next few days and worry about that later on, but that's no problem that you still finish this area if you do. I didn't on the example. I did this half and then I just did a base coat of the crown, but that's no problem at all. The crown, you know, whether you do the full version of this or not, the crown is going to work out no matter how you put it down. So if you leave that area bare, or you know, you went ahead and you did kind of a version of a crown for a base, that's fine. There's more than one road to this destination here, and it's fine to take however you feel. I'm going to take the white and start throwing down some of this white fur that's going to happen. It's okay to have a little bit of color in there too. It transitions from the color to kind of this lighter fur. And I am very careful saying white because we don't ever want a pure white coat on this tiger. Things sometimes look like they are pure white, and they might be, but when you put something pure white in a room of color, it is going to reflect those colors regardless of how white it is. And extend this out a little bit more here. Not worried that I got some orange in there. That's actually good. Very good. Same thing up here. I'm going to extend this out a little bit. Hopefully everybody's bearing with me. Definitely take your time on this. It's not a city that needs to be built in a day. This is definitely something you want to take your time on. Go through the process. Figure out what works for you. Got the chin in there now. I'm always wisping out this fur to make sure that I don't lose the furriness of the tiger's fur. I'm going to go back into the mixture of the yellow and the white and the red for this area down in here. And some things just kind of happen. This area, you know, I didn't hit that with any black earlier, but I like what it's doing with how the stripes are going to be on the tiger, you know, the next day. So I'm going to leave some of that in there and let it happen. When you can let a canvas and the brush do the work for you before you even get there to do it, I'm all about that. Alright. Same thing kind of in this area. I like how dark that is. I might add just a little bit to shape it up at about here, but I'm gonna leave that dark spot. This dark spot over here too. Some of this back here was real bare, so it's knowing what you're gonna divide up for yourself and knowing how to recognize that when you get there so you don't forget what you did. And then things kind of be what they are. A little bit of this over here. Like I said, if you did all this and you're not happy with some of the shape that you have, you're not happy with some of the details that you have, you're not happy with whatever it is, it's always adjustable. You can always come back and shape it up. This is all going to be shaped up tomorrow. So the last part, I believe for today, last two parts are going to be kind of in this vicinity down here and up here on the ears, because there's some fur that comes out from the ear area and it's real light. It's kind of a lighter mixture of that red and yellow that we were doing, or if you just want to do a base coat of white, that's fine. A little bit of fur wisping out from the ear, real furry. Same thing on the other side, a little bit of that. You don't want to make it identical though, because you know, it's facing a certain direction and it's not going to be just symmetrically perfect. It's going to be a little different. A little bit of fur coming out of the ear there. And if you really want to touch it up in that area, grab some more of your color, that mixture color, and the red, the yellow, orange, white kind of deal. We're going to throw some fur back over top of that to show that the head is above the ear, ahead of the ear. Cover it back up, keep our consistency. Throw it over some of that ear up here too. Throw it over some of this ear. And this is our base coat for today with the tiger. I hope that wasn't too crazy, but we are going to expound upon this tomorrow, take it further, finish up the tiger. Anybody who just wants the tiger, you'll be complete. Anybody who wants the crown after that, oop, I forgot that we were going to hit another area, can follow the next videos with the crown. Let's do one more area here. This is going to be this area down in here. I'm just going to push it back a little bit with, let me mix this color and see if I can describe it. It doesn't need to be orange necessarily, but it needs to be something different from just white. So maybe a tiny mixture of the orange and a lot of white to make something, maybe a little bit of yellow, some a little bit lighter. It's a little too light. More white. Something like that in there is fine. Just gonna separate this side of the chest from the other side. Still wisping. I'm just wisping this out. It's real furry. It doesn't have to necessarily show that, except for on the parts that are sticking out. On the other side here. Sorry, I got completely mixed up there. You can go a little bit darker if you like over here. Just to set these areas apart. I don't really want to come back and confuse myself and say, oh, was this supposed to be this? I really want to know what everything is supposed to be. Wisping it out, wisping it out, wisp, wisp, wisp. I want this base a little bit thicker over in this area, just so when I put anything over top, it's not going to be fully see-through. If you get a little bit of that black paint in there, that's okay. Keep wisping, wisping, wisping. Alright, we'll call that the base coat of the tiger. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be a nice scenery. I'm super excited to show that one. It's real simple. It's not going to be anything too crazy. But make sure that you have large brush, the next one down that I've been using today, a nice fine liner tip brush, and a fan brush. It's very important if you're going to follow along with me, and I hope that some people will. But stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to have to charge my phone a bit just because it's pretty low, but stay tuned for that, and I'll be back shortly. Thank you so much.